Yo, what up, everybody? Happy holidays! Welcome back to the channel. This is Fandom Frequency, where we dive into the entire multiverse of pop culture, movies, TV, anime, all that stuff in between. So make sure you're jumping below the video, hitting those buttons, and supporting the channel. We really do appreciate all the support, and really do appreciate each and every one of you that checks out the videos, checking out the content, diving into the comment section, letting us know if you dig it, and even if you disagree with us, always feel free to jump in there and let us know. But today we're getting into the 17th episode of our pop culture show, where we got to let you know what the word is, man. What's the word? And we got some really cool topics today, as y'all can already see from the thumbnail, obviously, and the title. We're going to get right into this main topic right off the bat, y'all. One of my favorite up and coming actresses today from one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Sadie Sink, is reportedly the front runner right now, according to movie scooper Jeff Snyder, of becoming cast as the MCU's version of Jean Grey. And to me, this is phenomenal casting. I fucking love it, because with the character of Jean Grey, I do think Famke Jensen played a very solid version of the character and showed some of that conflict she was going through with the Dark Phoenix stuff and that whole saga kind of playing out in the trilogy. Not perfectly executed, but was set up pretty well in the first two X-Men films with the character, with her relationship with Scott, and obviously with Wolverine and the whole love triangle thing going on. Those were some of the more stronger elements that Bryan Singer was bringing to that original X-Men trilogy, and Famke Jensen was able to bring out in her performance and really looked the part and really was cool. You know what I mean? And I really dug her version. I think Sophie Turner's version was okay, but definitely was nowhere near as good. So I do think we have not had the definitive version of Jean Grey quite yet, similar to like Scott Summers and other characters like that, Rogue, within live action, where we had some pretty good interpretations, not bad by any stretch of the imagination, put a lot of these actors on the map, and some of them have become some of my favorite performers of all time. Hugh Jackman's the biggest example of that, right? But they're not pitch perfect casting like they really brought the comic character to life. I think Sadie Sink can do that, especially if you watch Stranger Things and you just saw season 4 about 2 years ago. That was a huge deal with the stuff that she was dealing with Vecna, and the whole entire connection that he had kind of telepathically to her, and some of the scenes and some of the imagery and some of the actual emotions and actions that she had to pull off as an actress, to me, was so phenomenally well done and felt like some MCU level type shit in a more darker, Stephen King type of 80s retro style, right? Gave me that Freddy Krueger Dream Warriors vibe. And Dream Warriors, to me, feels very similar in certain essence of these band of kids with these abilities within finding confidence and kind of therapy in what's going on in the asylum. They're able to come together and kind of take out this threat, right? To me, that feels very classic X-Men, the school for gifted children, Xavier's Institute for Gifted Children. You know what I mean? That feels like that vibe, that Hogwarts type of thing going on. So to me, I really think that she is the perfect age as well. Really fits the vibe of the character to me. Her acting has always been very solid to either very solid to excellent. And I think in every season of Stranger Things has just elevated her game with everything. And then she's been doing projects like the Fear Street trilogy, and she was in The Whale with Brendan Fraser. So she's been doing a lot of good stuff and has been really building up her resume, but also was not a household name in and of herself as an actress, as a performer. I think her character, Max, Max, I'm forgetting her goddamn last name, but Max, I do think that that character is somewhat iconic amongst a certain generation, amongst certain fans, and I think will go on. But I think it kind of tees her up to get her real iconic role of something like Jean Grey. And I think she has like the ability to pull off the performance. She can be strong and vulnerable, and that to me is Jean Grey in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? She's almost even the exact same height that Jean Grey is usually listed at in the comics. I think she's about 2 or 3 inches difference in height as well. So you're not throwing things off completely in the different trajectory like they did with Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. Wolverine being closer to someone that's my height. Well, I'm 5'6", but I think he's supposed to be 5'3" or 5'4" in the comics. So being that kind of smaller frame can still work for Jean Grey, being immensely powerful with telekinesis and telepathy. So it doesn't really matter the size of the actress. And like I said, there's just an intensity to her eyes and to the way that she performs that I think is just perfect for Jean Grey. And depending on who they pair her up with in Scott Summers, because they're not going to do X-Men without Scott Summers. There's no way. They've almost like rarely, if ever, done that except for First Class. So there's no way they're going to miss out on that. and Days of Future Past. My apologies, but yeah, man. So I think it's going to be dope. I think this is awesome casting. It's not confirmed, and the big rumor and more of the details on it as well. Before we move on to the next subject, I don't want to forget to mention. Apparently, she might be cast in Avengers Doomsday, or whoever is cast as Jean Grey, even if it turns out to be someone other than Sadie Sink. But since she's the one in this conversation, we'll just say her. Sadie Sink is apparently getting teed up and set up to be cast in time to be in Avengers Doomsday, which comes out in 2026. May, that is, and then in Avengers, what would that be? Avengers 6, 7, whatever. Avengers Secret Wars in 2027, and then premiering in the X-Men film that could drop in that November 2027 release date. Now, a lot of that is speculation and hearsay from Jeff Snyder's sources, but I've been seeing the guy on different shows like Christian Harloff, the Hot Mic as of recently. He was a part of the Schmodown, the Rap, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was a part of an actual big publication. It was Deadline, one of those big ones. And I remember seeing him established on the Collider YouTube channel. So I'm very familiar with Jeff Snyder, and I've seen a ton of things he said and being in the works to come true. There's some things that have obviously he said that haven't come true, but there's a lot of things that have been backed up and actually solidified and actually confirmed. So I do believe that he is hearing real whispers here, but the possibility and how strong it is of her being the one that gets the role is all up in the air. But I would love to hear y'all's fan cast out there as well. Who do you think would be other great choices to play Jean Grey? And do you think Sadie Sink is not the right choice to play Jean Grey, and you'd rather see someone completely unknown, we don't know from anything? Or do you have some other casting choices in mind? Let me know down below in that comment section. But now it's time for us to hop into this next topic, man. And it's another good one, potentially. But apparently, Sony is seriously considering selling off the Spider-Man rights fully to Marvel Studios with Disney and all that. So, it's been cited by, I think it was like Daniel Rickman or something like that, one of those other big internet movie news scoopers that's been getting this information. And with Craven bombing at the box office, making like 30 million worldwide right now, going into its second week, and it's a 100 to like $150 million movie. So apparently they're going to have to make at least 500 or 600 mil to even break even and get any profit out of this, or start to break even and get in the black to be able to actually make profit off the film. I don't see that happening when it doesn't even look like it's going to crack 100 mil. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the biggest bombs in years. It's one of the biggest bombs of comic book movie history, and comic book movies are damn near 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's fucking crazy. It's the lowest in the last 25 years, bar none. Lower than the Marvels, lower than Madam Web, lower than Fan Four Stick, y'all. Those are some of the worst in the genre, man. Those are some of the worst in the genre. I think the Marvels is a bit better than the other two, in my personal opinion, but it's still like a 5, 6 out of 10 movie. You know what I'm saying? It's barely passable to even be like tolerable to watch, in my opinion. But those other two that I named off, terrible. So the fact that Sony has fucking dropped the ball this hard when all they had to do from the very fucking beginning was get a fucking version of Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, something in the fucking movies. Get Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire from No Way Home. Get your multiverse money. Do that. Get somebody in there. It's so dumb how they had no foresight to plan anything out whatsoever, and how they wanted to build out this villain kind of Spider-Man universe, but it's just a Spider-Man-less universe. It makes no sense, has no rhyme or reason. Doesn't know right from wrong, you know what I mean? It's just dumb. They could have easily had this side thing going with a fucking Miles Morales or something, and they had their own thing popping off. But no, we got to make our own villain spinoffs to keep the rights and shit. It's dumb. The only thing is, when it comes to this rumor, I think it's highly unlikely that Sony actually will and wants to fully sell to Marvel. I think it might be a conversation that's going on that someone is discussing in the executive level. Someone overheard and has kind of leaked this information out. That I can see going down, but I don't see them going in this direction and fully committing and making a deal to sell the Spider-Man rights off. Now, don't get me wrong. They've been fucking up royally, especially this year with like a trilogy of just fucking fails. With Madam Web, Venom: The Last Dance barely broke even if it did. Madam Web bombed and is one of the worst comic book films ever made, going back to fucking Spawn in 97. So that's fucking terrible. And all that. And obviously, Morbius was a fucking trash, and I haven't seen Craven, but no one seems to like it really. So that just goes to show you just how far off they've been. But they have made great things in collaboration with Marvel, obviously, but that's not them really putting in the creative input. The one thing I will give Sony credit, because it is them, whether it's Lord and Miller or whoever it is, really working closely on it to nurture it and make it what it is creatively, is besides the point. But it is Sony at this point. I don't think it's really the executives like Avi Arad or Amy Pascal, for those that are in the know on that kind of thing. I don't necessarily think they're the reason why those movies are successful. The only thing I think that is working is they're leaving Lord and Miller and whatever directors and people they have hired on to work on those movies to do their thing. And especially when the first one got a goddamn Grammy nomination and made like at least $500 million, if not more, goes to show you that the Spider-Man brand is very strong when you're doing it correctly, and that at times Sony can get it right. You know what I'm saying? And Amazing Spider-Man 1 wasn't that bad, but that was like 12 years ago. So that's the only issue, man. Like Sony's been so hella inconsistent. So I understand some of the fans kind of anticipation to want to see this shit get the fuck out of here. But at the same time, I don't think it's even smart business sense for Sony to do that. You know what I'm saying? I think what they should do, that I've heard Christian Harloff suggest himself, so I'm definitely biting from his idea, but I do agree with it. I think he said this like on Tuesday or something like that, this past week, as of the recording of this video, right before Christmas here. And I think he's right in the sense that Sony should not sell the rights. Just let them creatively do everything with Spider-Man. Don't make your own things outside of Spider-Verse. And you got that Nicolas Cage Spider Noir series that Lord and Miller are spearheading. Let that take its course. Do the Spider-Verse movies, and then let Marvel take Miles Morales and the rest of the catalog and get it going in live action. Let them make all the creative choices. Just sit back and collect the money. Let them do it. Let them get you another damn near $2 billion movie. Let them make the dope shit. And then you just sit back, because everything the MCU has done with Spider-Man has been way better than anything they've been doing besides the Spider-Verse movies. Bar none, y'all. The last Spider-Man trilogy was a very solid trilogy, and actually, as a trilogy, I would say it does play better in a film, in a cinematic way, than the Raimi trilogy. Even though I still prefer the first two Raimi installments over anything in the MCU, besides maybe No Way Home, in my personal opinion. Homecoming and Far From Home are good, but I don't necessarily think it's better than the Raimi stuff, if I'm being real. But those are all solid ass to great Spider-Man films that establish the character, do it really right by the character, and have made quite a bit of money, and have made its own definitive version of Peter Parker, to the point where they've had consistent, perfect casting. That's the other thing I'll give Sony credit. They have casted the Spider-Man role perfectly twice before the MCU got involved. So you do got to give them credit there. The live action Spider-Mans have been fucking masterpiece, chef's kiss, baby. Best casting things ever. Even Batman's gone off the rails, and Superman a little bit. So that's pretty fucking awesome. But anyway, I do hope in some way Sony stops making these bullshit spinoffs and just lets Marvel do everything mostly with Spider-Man, and then just do the Spider-Verse movies and animation. Maybe bring that over to live action. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I think they should just leave the Spider-Man brand alone in film. Let Marvel do it. Collect their paycheck. Collect the portion that they're already agreed upon the current contract, or do whatever you got to do in the legal side, business side of things to make that work. And other than that, just let them do what they're doing. Let them cook, as everyone loves to say these days, and I catch myself saying it all the time myself. But let them cook. Let them see what they come up with. Let them see what they're going to drop. And then you guys just do the Spider-Verse movies and stop making any live action things outside of doing that in live action. That's it. Maybe make a TV series. Don't do anything fucking else. For real, for real. Y'all let me know how likely you think it is Sony's going to sell these rights. If you want to see any more Sony Spider-Man list movies for some odd reason, I'm not going to hate on you or shame you. Let me know down below. I would love to hear that discussion as well. But for the next topic here, this was a bit of a pleasant surprise for me. The Karate Kid Legends trailer dropped. This is the next installment in the Karate Kid franchise, which does include the like 2010 to like 2012 Jackie Chan was at the time remake with Jaden Smith and all that, where they're actually doing Kung Fu, but that's besides the point at this moment. Bringing in Jackie Chan to cross over with Ralph Macchio's Daniel-san from the original Karate Kid franchise and Cobra Kai, respectively. They're getting ready to end the Cobra Kai series next year in 2025, but this is dropping at the end of May. And I got to say, I really enjoyed this trailer, man. This trailer I thought was really dope. I really dug it overall and thought that this was actually a very surprising trailer in the fact that it didn't feel as hammy and kind of as over the top as the last 3 to 4 seasons of Cobra Kai have been. Because I feel like season one was very grounded and very good blend of the two. Two was where it started to kind of teeter out of that. And then three, I thought was a good balance, but it definitely just went way over the top with it, where it was almost like John Wick for like, YA John Wick or something, except with the killing. But it's like, it's gotten pretty over the top. There's like crazy sword battles, people getting stabbed and shit, snakes biting people and them requiring shit somehow and surviving without getting any medical attention. But I digress. But at the same time, I do enjoy Cobra Kai. I've loved most of the seasons. I would say seasons 1, 4, and 5 are my favorite, even though 4 and 5 go way over the top. I still enjoy it quite a bit and think the kind of Star Wars-esque type of storytelling they're trying to do with this shit is pretty fun and on the nose, but I really dig it for whatever reason. But with this trailer here, they did a great job at making this feel grounded, with Jackie Chan really caring for the kid that you see in the picture there for his disciple or whatever, or for his student, and with him being that kid sensei, and him telling Daniel straight up in the trailer that, what you were to Miyagi is what he is to me, and I need your help to train him and to, maybe get him to win this tournament or get some kind of great opportunity for himself and to get him into a better situation. But I also like how the kid already seems like a pretty seasoned fighter, but he's building up for this competition and is going to elevate what he's doing to get that Miyagi-Do style really taught to him from a Miyagi-Do style student, and one of the best ones Miyagi ever taught, and one of the few, right? So I love the way that they're able to kind of blend these two worlds together, because in the remake, from the scenes I have watched, that movie felt very grounded as well from what I've seen. I haven't seen the full movie, and I do want to get into full movie reactions next year. So y'all let me know in the comments, but I am thinking of doing this and trying it out and see what happens, of watching the Karate Kid remake, or whatever you want to call it now, that Jackie Chan Karate Kid, and doing a reaction to that in preparation for this thing, because I haven't seen it, and I think it will be good to be caught up on what's going on in there that might tie into the original four Karate Kid movies and Cobra Kai respectfully and all that. But it's very interesting, man. And I dig the vibe of the trailer. Some of the fighting's still pretty over the top, but overall, I think it feels a lot more grounded, a lot more like classic Karate Kid mixed with that Cobra Kai first season, and kind of blending the two together to make it dope action, a little more elevated in that kind of blockbuster way, but keep the essence of the storytelling and really centering the story on the characters and what they're going through emotionally, and what the journey is for them, and then what they're trying to achieve through the discipline of learning this martial arts, and what that really means for people, and how that really translates to real martial artists and people out there that have trained, myself included. So I really dig that vibe that Karate Kid brung to, movies and shit in general. So I think if this can kind of recapture some of that energy, and kind of tee up a new character we can maybe build another series around, that I think there's a lot of cool potential with it. I actually think the trailer was actually a very pleasant surprise. I really dug it. But y'all let me know down below if you dig this trailer as much as I do, or if you think it was a bit mid in your personal opinion. But as we get on here, man, we got Clayface. Apparently, this movie, written by Mike Flanagan, is going to take place in the James Gunn DCU. It is now slated for September 11th, 2026 release date. And apparently, according to some rumors out there, I can't remember the source of where it came from, but I think it was comicbookmovie.com, but I don't remember who wrote about it or where they got that source from originally. But apparently they want to make this their version of The Fly and go straight up body horror with it. Now, I don't know if they're going to go Cronenberg rated R, fuck your mind up, and give you shit you can never forget, an imagery that is fucking disgusting and terrifying, but you can't help but not look away from it. I don't know if they're going to go quite Cronenberg level with this shit. It wouldn't surprise me with James Gunn's horror sensibility. He loves horror and loves all that crazy shit, and worked for Roger Corman's company, if I'm not mistaken. So James Gunn's pretty steeped in that B movie territory, steeped in horror, slasher, splatter stick, exploitation shit. So it wouldn't surprise me per se. But at the same time, I do feel like this is a weird project to announce at the time, especially as kind of the antithesis of what we just saw with Superman. That feels a bit disjointed to me. I don't know how that's going to necessarily fit in. And I know he's trying to tell stories in this shared universe that don't negate each other, but don't necessarily directly tie in and set up the next step for each little thing in like a building block MCU style way. I do dig that, but this to me does feel like a little bit of an odd project to be in the mainline DCU. But at the same time, I haven't even seen Superman fully yet, because we just got the first teaser trailer. None of us have seen it. Who really knows where this universe can go and really can really support or be able to experiment with. But overall, for me personally, it does feel a little bit odd, but I am interested to see what this is going to turn out to be. But that's pretty much it for that update. So no director as of yet. Mike Flanagan has pitched the story, came up with the story, and is writing the script. And we got a September 11th, 2026 release. So a little under 2 years, about just over a year after Superman in next July. So very interesting how that and Supergirl can drop the same year. Some other cool news here. Nia DaCosta is going to be directing the next installment in the 28 Days Later trilogy, as they're saying, with Danny Boyle and Alex Garland helping to set this up by them writing and directing this first one and helping establish the universe from there. Her installment, which is titled 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, I think, is going to be slated for a January 2026 release. So that's pretty interesting and kind of fast, but they have already or are just about to wrap the movie. So they do have about roughly a year to do all the post-production on it. So I do think that makes sense with it just being a mid-budget action, horror action thriller. So I don't think they're necessarily going to need over a year and a half, 2 years of, post to be able to get the effects and all that right. So announcing this just over a year out makes sense to me, and pivoting away and kind of piggybacking off the release 6 months later after the next installment 28 years later comes out. If that's a smash, fans love it, people love it, critics dig it, it's making money, they can follow that up real quick order in 6 months with the next installment. And if they keep that same kind of trajectory going, by 2027, they can get this trilogy done and we don't have to be waiting hella long for it. And they really can get 28 days later in the 28 franchise out there and, really relevant in the conversation and get to it sooner rather than later and strike while the iron is hot, as the old peeps used to say. So I think that's a great strategy. I think it's pretty cool. I like Nia DaCosta's work. The Marvels definitely was not great, but I don't want to put that solely on her when that movie was reshot and all this kind of crazy shit going on with the Marvel committee, all that drama. I liked her Candyman installment. I did think the ending lost me a bit, and I thought in the third act the movie kind of fell apart just slightly and didn't keep that same tension and suspense that it had building up to it. But I thought she did a great job overall with her visual eye, with the kind of creepy, like intense tone to the film. I think her coming in to do something like this with Danny Boyle and Alex Garland helping to shepherd the story, I think can really bring out the best in Nia DaCosta and maybe potentially give us her best film yet. And I'm not sure where she got her big start from for before Candyman. That was also produced by Jordan Peele. But overall, I like her work. I really dig this franchise. I really prefer the first 28 Days Later, but 28 Weeks is still a really good ass movie. And I'm super hyped for 28 Years Later. It's in my top 5 most anticipated movies of next year. There will be like a whole list for that, a whole episode coming up on the show soon. So stay tuned for that as we get into the new year over the next week and a half. But overall, I can't wait to see what this is going to be. Hopefully 28 Years Later is half as good as it looks to be in this trailer, because that trailer kicked a lot of ass. But 28 Years Later, the Bone Temple, January 2026, y'all. Get hyped, get ready. And then our last topic for the day, there's rumors still swirling around again that James Gunn is considering bringing Robert Pattinson's Batman over to the DCU to be their version of Bruce Wayne, get into the Brave and the Bold and the Damian Wayne aspect of all that shit. The only problem is Matt Reeves, sort of like myself and other fans out there, is very resistant to want to do that. And to me, I think this is a bad idea. This does not fit in the franchise at all, in my personal opinion. When you go from fucking Crypto being the opening in a trailer, dragging somebody away, being a cute dog, and the opening of fucking The Batman is the Riddler going in for a slasher fucking style kill like it's a Giallo movie. Like it's literally him stalking this fucking person to kill them. That's the opening to The Batman. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't fit. Like, I don't understand why this is always persisting as a rumor. And if they're really trying to push for this, this is where James Gunn might make a mistake. Robert Pattinson's not that much older than David Cornsweet. I don't get how Damian comes into the picture. There's no kid, there's nothing going on. They don't allude to him having no romance or no Talia al Ghul or anything like that. This doesn't make sense to me, man. Let the Batman stand on its own. Let the Penguin do its season 2 or whatever you're going to do with the franchise. Let that be its own thing. Elseworlds, lean into it. Do not try to get everything in the same fucking box. Have different things going on. This is where DC has really excelled in the multiverse aspect of their comics, and having different things in the animated and this live action going coinciding together and being separate at the same time. This is the strengths of DC, where they can take bolder chances, do a trilogy, fucking 7 inspired Batman trilogy, world's greatest detective thing. Let's keep that on its own thing. Robert Pattinson's Batman does not belong anywhere where Crypto's at. They just had a flood. Where the fuck was Superman at? There's no boy in blue, man. The big blue Boy Scout does not belong here. Crypto, Guy Gardner with that crazy haircut, like a kaiju. Come on, man. Like, that doesn't fit with this franchise. It doesn't. I seen an interesting fan theory today where someone said, what if the Batman's a prequel and he's the very first vigilante hero and blah, blah, blah? Sure. It's a retcon, bro. It's a retcon. Going back and saying that. That's a retcon, man, because this was not supposed to set up another universe. We knew that. They established that. There was no overarching plan at fucking Warner Brothers at the time. It's been like dead in the water until James Gunn's been revamping everything over this last like several months, maybe this year, you could say, after he made the initial announcement a year or two ago. Like, it doesn't make sense, man. This doesn't fit together. I think this rumor could be true, and I hope it doesn't happen, because that's fucking stupid, in my personal opinion. I don't think it fits. Whether you agree or disagree, I really would love to hear your thoughts down below. So let me know what you think about this. But I think Robert Pattinson's Batman does not belong anywhere in James Gunn's DC universe, in the main universe. Keep it Elseworlds. Let them do their own thing. Let them cook over there. Get your other Batman over here. Fucking people can figure it out, okay? Google it or whatever. It's not that confusing. You don't need to put these things together. Normies that aren't big comic book movie fans aren't going to give a fuck if it's a different actor anyways. If they dig what they're seeing, they're going to go see the Batman movie. It doesn't matter. Trust me. There's always 20 different versions of the character coming out in comic books. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, you don't need to put this in there. It doesn't fit, in my personal opinion. Not saying anyone that thinks it will fit or can fit is wrong, but to me, it just feels like a really whack creative move, and does not feel organic to what they've done with this part of their franchise, and also feels a bit desperate and feels a bit unnecessary. But y'all let me know down below what you think about this topic and all the topics we discussed today. But that's pretty much it here for the 17th episode of What's the Word. Like I said, we're going to have top 10 movies of the year. We're going to have my favorite albums of the year. We're going to have top 10 horror movies of the year, and my most anticipated 2025 movies and TV series, all coming down the pike between like Christmas week and the New Year's. So make sure you check in with us over that week and a half. We're gonna have a bunch of that content coming at y'all. And like I mentioned in a previous video right before this one, stick around, y'all, and keep your eyes peeled for all the subscribers and people that are digging the channel. All you day oneers out there, we're going to be launching a second channel real soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that announcement. I'm going to make a announcement video here and then launch the channel shortly afterwards, and you'll see all the content over there. So I'll have all that stuff in the description of the videos on this channel moving forward once we launch that second channel. But overall, we're still going to be posting on this channel every single week and as often as we possibly can in general, and keep this project going. But there is a little bit of a spinoff, if you will, that's going to be coming into the fray sooner rather than later. So make sure you stay tuned and don't sleep on that, coming into 2025. And we got a lot more fun content coming at y'all. And we should have at least one more episode of What's the Word, going over some of my top lists of the year and whatever pop culture topics come down before we end out the year that has been 2024. And for all of y'all that have been riding with me all year long and have become part of the subscribers and become part of this fandom community and been able to talk about all this stuff in a respectful way, I appreciate y'all. And it's been fun, and I continue to want to elevate what I'm doing here creatively, elevate the quality, make stuff fun, so where we can engage and have more conversations moving forward, and just love doing things on the channel and getting into all this nerdy shit that I love. Because at the end of the day, I'm a nerd at heart, and I just love getting to talk about what I'm passionate about and getting to do that outside the old 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Whether this ever pays the bills or whether we ever make any money off this thing, who knows? But we're going to keep this project going for the foreseeable future and just see where it goes. So thanks for sticking around and watching this. I just wanted to get this out there because this will be one of the last videos you see this year. But until then, until the next video, much love, stay tuned, don't sleep, and we'll catch you on the next episode, y'all. Peace.